I just thought about something. Um, you know how people say we kind of don't talk anymore. Use your smartphones to like really communicate in social media. Well, in the future, you're going to be talking with your brain to like people around the world. You're going to have like a hive net brain, so you can talk. You can feel people's emotions. You can like get inside their head and you can communicate them. So I think this is going to be a real game changer because not only can you talk to the person in person, but you actually can talk to them through your brain. That's even more immersive than using social media and your phone to talk. Think about it, talking through people's brain and consciousness. That's so you're gonna have the best of both worlds. This is gonna kind of bring it back, but move it forward too. You can still talk to people, but you can really get in their brain and find out what's going on in consciousness, and you can be linked in the world to people's brain like a hive mind. So we're kind of, we're going back. We're going to go back to the communication, but it's going to be so much immersive. So that's you should look out for. Okay, so according to future timelines, 2025 is the year that the robots are everywhere and they're really doing this simple task, really widespread. So I think what's going to play out is if Biden wins, he's going to run only for 1 year. I mean, one term, which is only 4 years. So after 4 years, that means Yang is definitely probably going to win. No question about that. Or Trump could win and he could run another 4 years, and then in 2024, Yang actually, if Trump wins, Trump cannot run anymore past 20. He can't run in 2024 because there's only 8 year terms. He already did 4 years, and then 4 more years would be 2023. Then Yang can win in 2024, and then we're getting universal basic income. And I think we have no choice because according to 2025, this is when the robots. I mean, hell, it's pretty much starting right now. It's just not widespread. We have to give it a couple more years, obviously about 4 or 5 years to really get it going. But yeah, we have the robots, and and I think a year later, Flippy became even more advanced. So not only can it just flip burgers and deep fry, it can actually move like a human with the extended arm. So what I think is going to happen, all these technologies, is delivery robots. The Too Simple is planning doing about 2023, like a fully autonomous. So like the workers are going to be less workers because they're going to have the truck do majority of the driving, and then at the end the driver would do just the rest of the shift. So they kind of just cut half of the shift off. Of course, that'll be more advanced throughout the years. It's all about. I think it's instead of people thinking just killing jobs, I think it's going to be the future is less and less people will be needed. It's not going to automatically just be the job will be killed, but I think it will be less and less people. The reason why is because technology, artificial intelligence, is going to keep advancing, gets stronger and stronger and better. So less and less people. I think by a decade, I believe in a decade, fast food jobs are probably going to be completely automated. Because think about it. Okay, so 2025 they start rolling these robots and they're just doing all the jobs, and boom, we're gonna have universal income by 2024 because it's gonna get a point where Congress will be like, well, damn, the robots are getting so advanced, and we have no choice but to we some of the trucks ain't gonna cut it. So Yang wins, boom, we get universal income. Okay, so 2025, fast food restaurants, automation is going crazy, and tons of companies. So like what we're seeing now is kind of just behind the scenes. The smart grocery cars, the Flippy the robot, the delivery robots, and all these robots, these cooking robots. It's going to take some years because they have to incorporate it into the businesses. So it's going to take about 4 or 5 years. So when that happens, we'll get universal basic income, and I think by decade, these, or it could be 5 years, but definitely by decade, these fast food restaurants are going to be completely automated. Hell, you can go to the Cafe X, man, and you could just. What's going to happen? Like I said, it's just very small areas, but pretty much Silicon Valley. They have this technology, but it's really going to incorporate it like all around the U.S. in about 4 or 5 years. But yeah, you just go to Cafe X robot, boom. You have a tablet, and you just tell it what it wants, and the robot just cooks your. Cooks your food or fixes your drink. They actually have that now. It's just called Cafe X. And very little supervision. I think just maybe the guy just has to like replace the cups or something, but the robot just does it all. So as the technology even advances even further, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years, it's gonna be just very minimum supervision or just no supervision. I think like by a decade, it's gonna be complete automation of these fast food joints, restaurants. But definitely the fast food places, the restaurants. It depends how they use the technology, but I know definitely the fast food because of turnover, and the call centers because of the turnover. This is going to be so Yang. He's what he was saying is true, but he just came like the one of the other guys said. I think it was like from China, Japan. It's like Yang is too quick to say this, but he's right. It's coming down. So I think definitely but Yang, he actually, what he said was right, but he just kind of early. He started too early. He's like, well, we better start early. But I think, so that's how it's going to win. Either Biden or Trump's going to be president. And Biden said he's only going to run 1 year. So that means if Biden wins, Yang is running because he said he's going to run. Then 2024, we're going to get UBI. In 2025, you're going to have it, So, and I think what's going to happen is, you always hear about Amazon keep on hiring people. Well, that's true, but only for online, because it's an online business. That's why the stores are going to close down. They're already doing it now, in a sense. Amazon will always hire because it's an online business. But it's not going to always hire because it's going to get to a point where 4 or 5 or more years and you can completely automate the warehouse. And to tell you the truth, China already has a fully automated restaurant. It has a warehouse that's pretty much fully automated. We're really behind China, to tell you the truth. So, like I said, it's going to give some time. That's why we had to give it some time. So these technologies exist, but they really won't be incorporated until about 4 or 5 years. You'll really start to see it really blow up in majority places. You only find like the robot coffee maker in like California, and you find these self-delivery robots in like campuses, and Amazon is getting I'm trying Postmates robots in limited places. So, you can see this stuff is already here, but it's just in limited places. So give it some time, about 4 or 5 years. Yeah, you're going to see that in definitely by a decade, man. Call centers, I think, rest in peace. Fast food restaurants, rest in peace, workers. So, you'll see. You can look back at my video and say that I told you so, So I think that's going to happen. So the key is 5 years, 4 years, 5 years. It's going to take some time, but I think that's really where you're going to see the transition of a coming automated society. We have these technologies now, but they're just kind of behind the scenes. It's not widespread because we're pretty just starting it, It's 2020. We're just starting the hyperautomation. But 4 or 5 years and more, you can really, really see. And you can look at my video and say, I told you so. But yeah, to be honest, it's going to be either Trump or Biden's going to win presidency. And whoever wins 2024, I think Yang, he's going to be he's definitely going to win it. I mean, there's other candidates besides Yang in 20 like they're going to be running against him, and they're even for UBI. So, in other words, whoever wins is you're going to get UBI. But I'm sure Yang, because people are realizing, that what Yang is saying is coming true. This is not as widespread, but it's coming true. But 4 or 5 years from now, yeah, I think Yang's going to win it. Yeah, because, 2023 is will be the last year of Trump. And people say, well, the rest of the Trump family can win, Candace can run, but I think Yang will defeat all. Reason why is because of the automation. It's going to really hit in 4 to 5 years, big time. And Congress is going to be like, damn, these robots and AI is getting smarter and smarter and smarter, that we're going to just have to, stimulus check in and color, we're going to have to pass UBI. So it's going to take some time, but 4 to 5 years, you will see. And that's just the way it is, it's just, it's, it's just, it's a different transition, and than past automation, because of the AI is just getting very strong. Back then you had the automation, but you had robots to do things, but they couldn't like process and think things like they do now. So that's where the difference is, And I think 4 or 5 years, but I could be wrong. But I'm pretty sure I'm not wrong, because I already seen these technologies now, and I could just imagine 4 or 5 years and even more, and so it'll just get more advanced. And yeah, so I think in 4 to 5 years, you go to a fast food restaurant, you have a tablet, and you have the robots to cook your meals and deliver the meals. And I mean, the only thing probably would just be kind of supervising the robots, and they don't break down, but it's going to be pretty simple. You just go in, the touchpad, order what you want, and the robots will make it and give you your food. Hell, they even incorporated the drive-through as a robot. They're having a robot take your order. So So we've always had automation, but this is a little different. I'm just saying, robots taking your order and talking, and robots sounding human is a little different. I mean, robots driving themselves, trucks driving themselves. I'm just saying. But so yeah, 2020 is really the year that we're incorporating these technologies, but it's just not going to blow up everywhere. It's going to have to give some time, but it's going to give it like 4 to 5 years or more. And it's really going to be there. Right now, it's just kind of in very colleges, campuses, delivery robots, and in California, the robot coffee maker, Cafe X. And now, I don't know. I mean, China's already ahead of us in automation. I mean, like I said, they got a fully automated restaurant, which is insane. I mean, they just went all out. I mean, they had robots do everything in that thing. That is insane. I mean, I like automation, but damn, that's crazy. I mean, that's crazy, man. It's like you can give a human to breathe or anything. That motherfucking robots just did it all. But yeah, I mean, I don't know, like, America wants to be number one, but are we going to adapt to society? I mean, I think we will, but how soon will it be? Because everybody wants profit. Everybody wants to make things easier. So, security, biometrics, facial scanning. I mean, think about it. You got you got a credit card. They have a thumb pad, and nobody can fuck with it because if it's not your thumb, that card won't process. So that's very secure, of course, And then facial recognition and scanning. And I think people are just paranoid, like, oh no, we'll become like a communist country, and No surveillance. I don't think America's not going to adapt that kind of surveillance, completely no freedom like China. So I don't think U.S. will do that. We'll definitely some stuff, but it's not going to be like you have no privacy and you got cameras watching you everywhere. I think it'll just be less than that. And about the cash, maybe cash had its day. Cash is dirty. It's costly. It just takes time, and just people just, I think in the future it'd be like it's gonna be either a couple ways. It's gonna be either you pay with your phone, you use your card, you pay with your chip, or you pay with your mind. Probably you got headsets. You can just do things with your mind. It's like Neurosity company and Neuralink and these brain control interfaces. You can just do things with your mind. That's really going to be future. And I think after that, it's just going to be even more years. 20, 30 years is probably going to just be you can become a cyborg. Literally, you can have a whole body of cyborg parts. And so that's how it's going to start. It's going to start like you get to move things with your mind, use headsets, whether invasive, non-invasive, wrist wearable. You start moving things, controlling stuff with your mind, and then even further down the future, you can become a cyborg, you can become a robot, and even further down the future, you can upload your mind to the cloud. And so I think that's how it's going to play out. Transhumanism is like 2020 is like the starting. We're incorporating these smart tattoos, and there's a company with the eyesight called Mojo Vision. You can get smart vision. You can see. You don't have to have like glasses to see augmented reality just in your eye. And so 2020 is like the beginning of this transhumanism. And then like 4 to 5 years, 6, 7, 8, 9 years. So that's the future. So in a sense, how people look back at these videos like 80s and 70s and 90s from now, we think is like really primitive. But I think as we hit 2020 and beyond, well, the 2030s, 40, 50 people look at the 2020, they'll be like, okay, well, they utilize the same stuff we did, just not as advanced. And they'll probably make fun of it. Oh, that was so primitive. But they could see that start of the transhumanism area. So I think it's not going to be a totally mind-blowing experience compared like 20, 30, 40 and look back at 2020. It's going to be like, okay. They use these primitive, PCI, transhuman primitive technologies, but, they still used it. Whereas, you look at 80s and 90s stuff now, you're like, well, damn, those TVs were huge, those VCRs or cameras, things were primitive. So I think our future from 2020 and beyond, it's all focused in the transhumanist area. And I think what's going to happen is the people from the 2050 to 2020 look at the back of the 2020 technologies, be like, well, that transhumanism was like so like basic, but I see what they were coming from, and maybe we won't be made fun of too much. But then again, even scientists are working on anti-aging. Now, when are they going to crack this whole thing? I don't know. It's going to probably it's going to take some time. It's like the brain. The brain's very complicated. So think about the reverse or stopping agents. It's going to be complicated too. But I think baby steps. But I don't know how far we are. We're getting further, but I just don't know how long it would take. Future timeline says like 2060s. It's like 70s. It's like they cracked it. So I kind of look at future timelines because what the patterns they show, it's kind of coming true. You know what I mean? So it's kind of an interesting thing to look at. And they said, 2025, the unemployment is going to be crazy because of the automation, these robots and AI. We'll see. I think they're right. And so you can look at my video and say, well, I told you so. But yeah, just think about it. These delivery robots, 4 or 5 years, more advanced, more robots, we're trying to automate the fast food. You know, we're getting the robot to take your order. That sounds human. This is crazy. And then we have robot fryers. So, you know, just give it some time. It's coming. You get robot fryers and, you know. And to tell you the truth, while people might hate robots or not interact with humans, I think it's going to be a hell of a lot better. Because you can just go in there, just use that iPad or whatever, boom, order, customize your whole food. You don't have to talk to anybody. Boom, you're already built, and those robots are making it less. You know, people are coughing. People, you know, robots don't get sick. You know, so I mean, this is like no spit, no hair in your food. It's gonna be quick, and bam, you just go in and get out there, man. You know. And I think the grocery store with these smart carts, you know, like Sobeys and then the Amazon making a smart cart. Like I said, all these technologies are here, just like kind of, you know, behind the scenes. But give it some time, 4 or 5 years, it's gonna blow up and it's gonna be like everywhere. You know, you get that smart cart, you can just, fuck, man, that cart does everything. You wait, has a scale, you just put your food in there, boom, and you're just out the door. You don't have to talk to anybody, you don't have to worry about cashiers. But, you know, and people are just bummed out without, you know, to talk to people, or the people that don't like to talk to people, if you do or whatever. Like I said, it's going to come to a point where, you know, you're going to have these headsets and you're going to talk to people through your mind and brains. You know what I mean? Neuralink and Neurosity, and so it's going to be like you can talk to people, but you can actually connect to the people's brains and consciousness and feel their emotions. It's even a greater, a more immersive experience. You don't have to use your phone. You can, you know, you can have a chip in your brain, or you can not have a chip in your brain. You can, because they have headsets, and invasive and non-invasive. You can go either way. So, so I don't know how they're going to say that. Always, that's the mark of the beast. Because if you have a headset, you can move things in your mind. There's no mark in there, just a headset. That's going to fuck people up when people think it's the mark of the beast. Because you can't have both ways, non-invasive and invasive. So I think the mark of the beast, it's ridiculous it fails in that sense, you know, because you can have it both ways, not invasive or invasive. And, you know, I mean, I think it's going to come to a point that you won't have to use a phone. You don't have to use your hands. You can just think things. You could just, by thinking, you can just bring up stuff. You can make calls. You can scroll through your Twitter feed. It's just all in your brain, man. You know what I'm saying? So that's what's going to be, and and probably when the people in the 2050s and they look back in the 2020s, were like, oh, they still use big old phones and you have to use your hands. So back, you know, we just think things and we can just control things and bring up things just using our mind. And that's the last. Like I said, this is like the last automation age, man. This is it, because I mean, this is the last automation age. This is the last transhumanism. I mean, this is transhumanist age and beyond. It's just, so this is it, you know, last automation and then transhumanism from now and chill forever, you know, and that's what it's gonna be. So let's see if I'm all right. Let's look back. Let's look back 4 or 5 years. Watch my video and let's see if this guy was right. You know, let's see if this guy was right. I think I will be right. We'll see. You know, because it's just, you know, technologies will just always keep advancing. I mean, like I said, you know, I work at call center stuff. I already know behind the scenes that they have call center bots that sound human and do the whole work. Why are they not deployed yet? Because it's pretty new, you know? You have to give it some time. Like I said, 4 or 5 years from now, the call centers I think they're going to be in trouble. But you won't have to worry about that, because Yang will win and we will get UBI. Or if it's not Yang, somebody else, because there's several proponents. And it'll be a choice that, you know, stimulus checks just ain't going to cut it. We're going to say, damn, the AI is too advanced. Robots are doing majority of the work. We got to do something. And boom, you bet. And that's what it said in the future timelines. It said by 2025, there's going to be, they had to go through hell, but they said there was bipartisan UBI support from both ends, because they had no choice. I mean, the Romans could do so much shit, and this AI was getting stronger and stronger. So, like I said, yeah, this technology exists just behind the scenes. Just give it some time for it. You can check out